Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. This is it.
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I am Sam Nifty Delaney. So what?
Welcome along to the Friday morning episode. You get this on Thursday evening as usual if you're an IFS subscriber. Also, this is another one that we're putting up on YouTube for you to watch our faces, heads, hands. I'm showing my hands on the screen. Sam, show us your hands. Are they clean? Sam's hands are fairly clean.
But yeah, nails are pretty clean too.
They're clean enough for a podcast anyway. So
what's your we've never discussed in all these years we've never discussed our fingernail technique. Like what's your regime, what's your routine when it comes to hand care?
For many decades I was a fingernail biter.
Right, okay.
That's I'm not going to explain it or apologize for it. That's just how it was. And then just suddenly, a few years ago, I just stopped biting them. I just stopped doing it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So now I only bite them now in order to maintain them. Which kind of enjoy.
I wouldn't say I'm a fingernail biter, but I do bite fingernails. See what I mean? There's
your own fingernails, yeah, not
no one else's.
Yeah,
it's the same distinction that Rodney Marsh made that time when he said to me, "I'm not a cat killer, but I have killed cats."
Fuck yes, that's going back a while. That's a very early episode of Top Flight Time Machine.
Yeah, and it's the same with me when it comes. I said to him, "I know what you mean, Rodney. I'm the same when it comes to fingernails."
Yeah, very much the same, my friend. Well, they're not, are they? But you've said it now. It's out there. I'm going to have to put it in a podcast.
It sounds like a tongue twister, doesn't it? That they do to sort of prepare you for.
Riddle me this.
Yeah, I'm not a cat killer, but I have killed cats. I'm not a cat
killer,
but I have killed cats.
So I'll use nail scissors, or I'll bite them because I'm very skilled at it from the decades of nail biting.
Yeah, I prefer scissors and biting. I've never been a fan of the nail file. I find it quite horrible, actually.
I don't mind the nail file. It's part of the process. It's part of the ritual.
Well,
in the same way that heroin users say that the whole thing about cooking it up on the spoon, and then putting it in the ceremony. The whole ritual is ceremony. Yeah, I find that the nail file's part of the ceremony, and almost as satisfying as heroin.
It's your heroin.
It's my heroin. Yeah. What's your heroin, Sam?
Well, I tell you, I've just sort of relate. I've had a lot of different heroines over the years. I've jumped.
Good look at your hands now.
I've jumped. Yeah. I've jumped from one thing to another, and it's all about distraction. It's all about numbing out difficult feelings. It's all about seeking oblivion, right? And so, there have been periods in my life where I've used drink or drugs for that. There have been periods in my life where I've used work or exercise for that. When I was a kid, I think I sometimes used food for that. I think I still do use food for that. I'm emotionally, and so sometimes
and digging as well.
Digging, of course.
Digging was your heroin.
But I just came off the phone interviewing someone from my mental health pod, The Reset, and it's the first time I'd interviewed an actual psychoanalyst, which is like old school, not like a therapist who just listens and tries to, help you make sense of what's going on.
You've interviewed lots of psychos, but this is the first time you've done a psychoanalyst.
But an analyst, they subscribe to some pretty wild shit. And I was reading this guy's book, and I was like, my wife was like, "What the fuck are you reading?" So I kept going like this out loud. Oh, no way. No, I'm sorry. I'm not buying that. Right.
You remind me of your dad there.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That's an overreach. And then I'd go like, I'm not sure I can carry on with this book. A lot of stuff about sex. The book is actually called Is It Ever Just Sex? Right. So anyway.
Sexy sex and other sex.
We get to talking about wanking, right? He's a well-educated man. Right. He's a leader in his field, right? This is a guy, posh guy, very clever. But
he's a wank leader.
He started talking about masturbation, and I was like, okay, I'm quite into this, right? I'm here for this conversation. Is it possible for me, Sam Delaney, to have a non-juvenile conversation about wanking? And I thought it is, but there's no way I can refer to it as masturbation. I have to call it wanking. He was fine with that. And I said to him, look, when I was a kid, when I was about 12, 13, I said I'd be sat around the house. I said, first of all, I said to him, first thing you need to know about me is I'm a recovering addict. I've had problems with drink. I've had problems with drugs. I said, but when I was a kid, when I was about 12, 13, I'd be sitting around the house. I'd get in from school and no one would be there. My mum would get in maybe 6, 7 from work. And so I'd have quite a few hours sitting around and I'd be very, very bored. And sometimes I'd be a bit afraid, right? Because sometimes Pancho from the flats, his big fucking face would just appear at the window, right? Or whatever. Right, just weird shit. I'll be scared when you first are in the house on your own, and the area in which I lived, it was a terraced house. So and the front window by which I sat whilst watching the telly was on the street, right?
Oh,
and people
right.
could walk past, and you'd feel like they were in the house with you.
Yeah.
And on a dark night, maybe you'd have like the fire on, the gas fire, and that would glow the room, and you'd be very visible. And people would look in, and I'd feel like really insecure about that.
Like a goldfish or a zoo animal.
I'd feel a bit like that, and I'd just feel scared. In the area I lived, I thought, you're always hearing stories about fucking weirdos or violent people or, fucking sex nonsense or whatever. And I'd always think, looking back, I think I was sitting around the house quite scared to be on my own because I was still quite young. And other feelings going back, but mostly boredom and a few other sort of issues in my head. And so I wrote in my book about how sometimes I would, I'd go to the fridge or I'd go to the cupboard, I'd get out a packet of biscuits or whatever, and I'd sit and I'd just fucking munch them. And in retrospect, I look back and I think, well, that foreshadowed my drinking, right? Or my drug taking. It was just like, I didn't feel right and I had to do something to distract myself, give myself some sort of sensory pleasure. And I said to this guy just now, I said, I wrote about that in my book. And he went, yeah, it all makes sense. It's all like amateur self-analysis, obviously, but it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And I said, but now you got me thinking. I said, because I've got to tell you, around the same age, 12, 13, I said, that was a wanking heyday for me. And he didn't laugh because he's a serious man. And he's in the business of wank analysis.
Wank analysis is a funny phrase. I don't know why he didn't laugh.
It's called wank analysis, right? I mean, he doesn't call it that, but that's what I call it. And so he was like, And I went, so I've got to tell you, mate. I said, during this same era that I've just described to you, being fearful and lonely and bored in the house, I took to going upstairs to my room for a whack. Sometimes I didn't make it that far, right?
On the stairs.
I can't wait. I said, and there was like some days you're talking,
oh my God, I've just on the banister again.
Yeah. Have you been wanking on this banister again? First thing my mum would say when she got
Can I just say this is very bold for one of our YouTube episodes?
Yeah.
Whatever.
But I think, some people might relate to it. Some people might just laugh, whatever. But I said, I was wanking a lot when I was that age. So, and I was like, and he was just looking at me as if to say, yeah, what? And I was like, don't you think that's like, and I'm supposed to be interviewing him, right?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm just telling him, and I probably hadn't told anyone before. Now I'm telling you.
Some free analysis.
Like, when I was 12, 13, sometimes I'd wank half a dozen times in a day. I mean, that's weird, isn't it? And he went, well, I wouldn't say it was weird. I mean, it's quite common at that age. And I said, yeah, but no wonder I got bang into the coke when I said, same thing. I said, it's not because I was always being triggered. It was just something to do out of sheer boredom. Distract yourself. Yeah. And he went, and I thought he was going to go exactly right. And, you cracked the code to your addictive personality and blah, blah, blah. But he just went, oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway. And I felt, maybe I've told him a bit too. I mean, he wasn't embarrassed or he didn't shame me for it. No. But it was like, I think he's probably done so much wank chat in his time with like proper head cases who come to see him, which I believe is the politically correct term for people who have got mental problems. He sees head cases all the time. They probably tell
maybe he just didn't want to give you a free go.
Could be that, and to be honest, that is definitely what I was going for. I do that a lot in those interviews I do for the research.
You used to get a free turn.
I often am like, what do you reckon to this? Seeing as we're here, What do you reckon? I mean, I nearly asked him, like my recurring dream about doing a shit in public. I thought, I was sitting there listening to him talk, and I was thinking, God, this geezer knows his stuff. And I was thinking,
he's gonna love this.
I was thinking, I'm gonna fucking ask him about the dream. I reckon he's gonna know the answer at last. But I didn't get round to it because I'd already told him about the wanking. I thought if I talked about
I think he would have shut you down.
He might have said, look, you've used up your goodwill credits here. Yeah. This interview's over.
He'd have said, look, mate, I only do sex and wanking. I don't do shit. I do weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But
I mean, from what you've said there, from that regularity at the age of 12 and 13. From personal experience.
I completely lost you there. I completely lost you. What did
I'd said from that 12 and 13, that regularity, I wouldn't say that's unusual.
No, I don't think. From like anecdotal evidence of
other men, just from
my generation. Yeah. I think at the time I probably thought, is this normal? But I think since then I've kind of learned that it was pretty. But then I had like mates. There was always a couple of lads at school who were so unable to stop talking about sex and wanking. I don't know if you had that at your school. There was a couple of fucking weirdos. I
don't think of any.
Not weirdos, but just guys who just talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And they're really open from a young age about all the porno mags they've got. And, like, I used to get this school coach, there's kids in the year above, and they're just like, the whole conversation, it would be like they talked about wanking the way that I would talk about football, like with the same passion and intensity. Right. So at that age, I'd have football Tourette's, and it was like I was only capable of conversing about football when I was that age. But there was a couple of lads on the coach in the year above us, and they'd talk about wanking with the same relish. Oh, I had a great wank last night when I got in from school. I was like pretty young, and I'd be like, I'm not comfortable with this. But you just have to sometimes go along with it because you didn't want to be labelled like a prude. So you'd sort of go, yeah, nice one.
Yeah, I'll just say at this point, apologies to any of our prude listeners.
Wow.
They might be blushing or something at this point.
Well, I am sorry, but I've just come off the back of this chat, and I was pretty... It was pretty out there. I mean, it's worth a listen when it comes out.
Just as an aside, is there such a thing as a disappointing wank at the age of 12 or 13? I don't think there is. They're all brilliant.
They're all brilliant. There certainly is when you're in your 40s.
Yeah.
That's for fucking sure.
Yeah, but when you're 13, no such thing. They're all brilliant.
All like, wow, that was great of my whole life.
Can't wait to do that again. 10 minutes. Anyway.
Right. Enough of this wanking chat. It's disgusting. Let's talk about, it's slightly linked, Blue Peter.
It's slightly linked, yeah, I guess, without naming
when
names.
You're talking about after school wanking. I mean, Blue Peter would have been a part of that for men of our generation.
Yeah, anyway, let's not delve too deeply into that. It is disgusting, like you said. Yeah, Blue Peter, because it's the 65th birthday of Blue Peter this week. And what happened was a photograph emerged onto the internet of very many members of the cast of the presenters of Blue Peter. I'll put it up on the screen now if you're watching on YouTube. Boom, there it is. And we thought, hey, they've got them all back together, the 65th birthday. It turns out this was 5 years ago from the 60th birthday. But that doesn't matter. We're still going to talk about it because there's a lot to look at, a lot to think about, a lot of memories to examine. I mean, you were the one that dived into this on Twitter and alerted me to it. So
I was worried about how you might respond. I was like, if Andy comes across this and it catches him unawares,
my first thought was, where's Sarah Green? Where's Janet Ellis? And they're both there together.
And they are both owning. I mean, there's a lot of great people in this, but I would say Green and Ellis own the frame.
Yeah.
Especially Ellis. She looks resplendent, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So brightly coloured.
Lovely beaming smile.
Yeah.
Hard to choose between the two of them. But anyway, this is a disgusting episode. And Leslie Judd there, just next to them as well. What's that Leslie Judd's dress says? It's banditas.
Banditas. A bit trendy what she's wearing. I'm just happy. I'm just happy to see her safe and well after that horrible incident involving the horse and my old man,
and
of course Bill Johnson, the notorious Bill Johnson in the 70s.
Oh, that's so Bill Johnson.
Classic Bill Johnson, isn't it?
So there they all are.
What's your name? Bill Johnson.
There they all are. The guy at the front there, I can't remember his name. He presents the snooker now. The guy sitting on the floor.
Does he?
On Eurosport. Yeah. Although he hasn't done it for a while. They've now got former player Alan McManus seems to have taken over, and he's a little bit stilted. I like Alan McManus, but he's not a TV presenter.
My mate makes all the promos for the snooker on Eurosport.
Really?
Yeah, you know my mate who copped off with my ex during England-Denmark during the Euros of 92?
Oh yeah.
Him.
Yeah.
He makes the promos for the snooker now.
Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm sniffing a bit, by the way, because I've got a bit of a cold. And I blew my nose before we started this, and it's just I'll start to bung up again.
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm not going to take a break to blow
on
a YouTube episode anyway.
Don't get addicted to the old Vicks nasal spray like I got.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you were drinking it in the end, weren't you?
Yeah, unbelievable. Bathing in it.
So we've got obviously we've got Ellis and Green there and Judd. Up at the back there, Richard Bacon was readmitted to the fold, the stable, if you like, of Blue Peter presenters.
That's like when they brought
occasion.
Anakin, but Hayden Christensen back to the Star Wars franchise.
Or with the little disco at the end of Return of the Jedi.
When he was a ghost at the Ewok disco. Yeah,
he was.
Bacon's there, and he. To be fair to Richard Bacon, he does look. Is contrite the word? He looks. He's a lot of them are beaming, but he's at the back, and he's got a look on his face as if to say, "Look, I know I let the viewers down by going out on a mental one on the gear when I was presenting Blue Peter, but you know, I still love the show, and here I am." And I just can't believe
smug there, Sam. There's a bit of smugness on his face. Yeah.
Well, he's like, yeah, I'm on it now. Yeah. I'm still on it.
It's up my bum.
That's the thing about doing coke. No one can see it inside you unless it's
gone up my bum like Stevie Nicks used to do it.
And I got someone who shall remain nameless, but who is in this image to blow it up there for me. I'll leave you to think who that might have been.
I mean, Fleetwood Mac is kind of the Blue Peter of pop, almost, with ever-changing lineups and and dramatic story arcs,
interrelationships. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I can't believe they let Richard Bacon back. I mean, fair play. You know, I like Richard Bacon. I think he's a good guy, and I thought, well, that's nice. And then I'm thinking,
take a closer look.
Take a closer look, and Richard Bacon being readmitted is not the fucking half of it. Because if your eyes keep going along the screen to the right, they will land upon none other than John Leslie.
Now, that before you go any further, Sam, we had a conversation about this picture earlier on, off air, and you used some words and some phrases and some terms about John Leslie that I don't think stand up legally. Because as far as I'm aware, in a court of law, John Leslie has not been convicted.
An innocent man. I'm still surprised.
Many accusations.
There's been a lot of accusations. As we understand it, none have been proven in a court of law. So we'll watch our language carefully. But what I would say is that the BBC and Biddy Baxter in particular are very sensitive about this sort of thing. And I'm surprised that they took the risk of allowing him to appear in the picture. But as I say, nothing was ever proved, as that song by Pet Shop Boys and Dusty Springfield said.
Yeah. And he looks completely, completely sinister, let's be honest.
I think he looks like a ghostly spectre.
Yeah, and he's standing right behind Anthea Turner as well.
She doesn't
look comfortable.
She looks a bit nervous, yeah. I would say of all the people there, the one who looks the happiest to be there, and most of them look very happy, has got to be Peter Duncan. He looks like a pig in shit.
Yeah, yeah.
He's up the front with an old lady who we don't recognise on his left, and the one on his right, who I can't remember what her name is, but she went on to do a lot of religious programming.
It's Diane Jordan, isn't it?
Yeah, she did a lot of religious programming, didn't she? She's nice. And he's can't believe it. He's like a bloke who hasn't been invited to much in a few years, and he's like, "Fucking Duncan's back.
Duncan's got his best jacket on, and he is out of the house.
I am back, and I am not fucking leaving. Now I've got a foot back in the door. I tell you that."
Who's the Peter in Blue Peter? It's Peter fucking Duncan. Next question.
Who remembers me in Flash fucking Gordon? How many of these cunts have also been in a massive fucking Hollywood film? None, I'd wager.
But I think
hands up, who's never been done for coke or shagging in this room? Well, my hands are up. Anyone else? No, thought not.
Thought not.
Next question. I've been in a Hollywood movie. A lot of people refer to my era in the early to mid 80s as a golden era of Blue Peter. I have never been scandalized, and I've got 2 first names, which everyone in showbiz knows is always a winner with the kids.
I mean, you're saying Peter Duncan, but Peter Purves looks very, very pleased with himself to be there.
Yeah.
Of course, Peter Purves retired from public life.
He did
many years ago, and he's come back out of hiding for this.
He withdrew to his gigantic, high security but luxurious compound.
The Purves compound
in the Yorkshire countryside.
Yeah,
is surrounded by reinforced steel and concrete.
It is
to stop intruders, but inside it's extremely lavish because of all the money he made on Kickstart and Blue.
Well, he's got the 1984 Kickstart course replicated in his grounds.
Yeah, and he's got
no one ever uses it.
He's said to have there's gigantic oil paintings of him, but in sort of gladiatorial poses.
Yeah,
there are
one of them, Napoleon on horseback.
There are garish antiques, Ming vases, insane, like
lots of nudes, lots of marble nudes.
Nudes of It's got a kind of a like Caligulan feel to it, is what I've heard. Hello Magazine got in there once, but other than that, it's mainly there has been a lot of helicopter footage of it, and there are a couple of satellite images because it's that big that it can actually be seen from space. It's the only man-made structure on the British Isles that can be seen from the moon. Yeah,
it's got like a big marble column-based entrance leading up the front door, and there's a big plaque above the top, and it just says Purves by name, Purves by nature.
He's got he's got a whole section which is just filled with exotic rare animals.
Yeah.
Which he bought
up. Didn't he buy up Harrods' entire stock of wild beasts when they were stopped from selling them?
Yeah, and apparently some neighbours say you can see him feeding them in the morning, like if you get up a tree nearby or whatever, and look over.
You'll see him chasing a gibbon around on his trials bike in the middle of the night.
Fucking catapulting offal at the cunt.
And quite rightly, he looks very pleased with himself.
He does, yeah. And they've got him out of the compound for the day. He would have arrived
helicoptered
there.
out.
Yeah, in his helicopter, in the Purves copter, with
a picture
of his face on the side of it.
Waitrose drop food parcels in once or twice a week.
He was the first to use drone deliveries. I'm going back 10 years. Mainstream's only catching on to that now. But he had his own fleet of drones before they were even available on the commercial market.
Yeah, pioneer.
Doing all his shopping for him.
Legend.
He'd send them to Tandy to get his electricals. He'd have one for each of his favourite shops.
Fucking hell.
So he's loving it. Yvette Fielding's there. I know we've already been a little bit too disgusting on this show, but at first glance, there's a lot of beautiful women here. Let's not be daft. There are, and handsome men too. But I've got to say, it was Katie Hill who caught my eye.
With a short tartan skirt.
Yeah, I think it's a pose. There's a sort of a cheekiness
coquettish
to it. Yeah, that appeals to me.
This is terrible.
I saw her once in a cafe in Leafy Barnes when we first were living here. And my daughter was wearing a sort of a little parka. and I'd sewed like a mod target into it,
right,
for something to do. And Katie Hill came over and engaged my wife in conversation about it, like saying, I like your daughter's coat. I've got a son, he's over there, same sort of age. Where'd you get the coat from? They had a bit of a mother chat.
Your husband to do one for me as well.
And I was like, I think we've becoming social friends with Katie Hill here. My good wife was like, "No, just leave it. Don't excite yourself, mate.
Yeah,
it was just a one-off chat. Leave it.
It's all about the court. It's not about you."
Yeah. Hello. I'm a noted journalist.
As soon as you tell her you sewed that on, she's just going to shut down.
She's going to be like,
weird.
Who the fuck's this? The husband? That's what she said to my wife. Is this the husband, is it? Yeah, that's him. Fucking hell. I thought I had problems. My wife's like, yeah.
What
can you do? What can you do? You make your decisions, you pay your money, you take your choice, mate.
Yeah, time passes. You think about things.
You learn to live. You learn
you just realise it's best to do the right thing if you can.
I suppose you just got to think about the kids, really. I mean, they need a dad.
It's best for them. But I mean, is it best for them to stay together, or is it better that they have two happy households? Hard to tell.
She said, "Believe me, Katie, these are the questions I ask myself every fucking day."
Speaking of men who will probably be jettisoned once they've outserved their usefulness, I've started watching the Colleen Rooney documentary on Disney Plus last night. It's very good.
Is it? I really want to watch it.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Yeah, I've always liked her.
Honestly, I just think Wayne, as soon as the kids are older, he's gone.
Do you reckon?
It'll be like, right, bye now, Wayne.
Is she a lot sort of smarter than him, basically?
Oh, I think so. 11 GCSEs, yeah.
She's got 11 GCSEs.
Yeah, she's very smart. She did the whole Wagatha thing.
Yeah, I mean, that took a lot of... Yeah, I've always admired her because she's always sort of carried herself with... Even when I remember when they were all out in Baden-Baden, she sort of got swept up in it all, but she was like 16 or something, and she was having to hang around with Cheryl Cole and Abby Clancy and Posh Spice, and it must have been quite overwhelming, but she managed to keep her cool. I really want to watch that show.
It's good.
I am a big fan of Wayne's too, but for other reasons.
Oh, Wayne's brilliant. I love how... Do you remember that advert he was in? It must have been about 15 years ago, where he emerged from that caravan with a full beard, looking like he just slept in his fucking clothes for 4 months.
Yeah, vaguely, I do remember this.
And he was eating a bowl of cereal, I think.
Yeah.
I love how he's actually taken that and used it as a basis for his current look.
Image. He thought, I like this. Yeah. He's great. I also think he's England's. I mean, I got a couple of years ago, I said this and got into some sort of... I think it was during lockdown, so people were particularly bored. I got myself into a huge pointless row because I said that he is comfortably England's greatest ever player, and
I remember this,
woefully underrated. And I mean, it was only a throwaway remark. It's that I don't know whether it was really my opinion. It was just something I said.
Something came into your brain and just went out your mouth. Yeah,
sometimes it happens. That's what happens. I mean, I don't know what my opinions are on anything, but it felt right at the time.
Any given time. Yeah,
next thing I think people wanted to fight me over it. It was an
involuntary reaction.
Yeah.
But having said that, you look at like when Wayne Rooney did leave Manchester United and all the success they'd had before when he was there, and it all fell apart. Ferguson left.
People talk about Fergie, but it was
someone has to do it in the pitch.
Exactly.
Anyway,
he was their last true leader.
You're going to give us a pet update, Sam.
Do you not want to see this bear having its lasagna just quickly?
Oh, yeah.
We got time for that. I put it in the chat. Can you somehow drag it into the thing? If not, we won't bother talking about it.
Where have you put it in? I can't see it.
Private chat.
Oh, in there. All right.
Private chat.
You put the link in.
Chat man for money.
I don't think we can insert that. I can click on it. Bear enters house and helps herself to frozen lasagna. Okay, 39 seconds long. There's a bear in a house. It's on the BBC website. It's wandering around. It's a she bear.
Yeah. Why? Can you see its tits?
Some nice music they've put on there as well. Fucking hell! Straight into the freezer. What's in here then? What we got in here?
It's so clever because it knows what a freezer is. It's not fucking around.
Yeah.
It's like, right, freezer. That's where the good stuff is.
Picks the lasagna out with her teeth. Leaves the freezer drawer open, which she uses to climb onto to get out of the window. Genius.
Yeah.
Out onto the decking with the lasagna in her mouth. I'm gone.
Fucking proper TTFN dickheads, isn't it? Thanks, cons. I'm taking this home. I'll have it with a glass of wine. And I've got a bit of tiramisu left over that I'll have afterwards as well.
Sorry you can't see that on the YouTube. You'd have to look it up yourself.
That's my favourite.
I wasn't prepared to insert it into the video, but that's fucking brilliant. That's genius. That almost looks like it's been done by an ad agency.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it hasn't.
Bird's eye lasagna or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
But animals, yeah, you're going to give us a pet update on.
Well, Cookie has been has been spayed.
Good.
Right, spayed, which
yes.
I think means it's what would you call it?
It's like a girl vasectomy.
Yeah, it's had itself sorted, done. But she's come back and she's such a sorry sight, mate. She's got the cone of shame on. She's got the cone of shame.
Yeah.
And she's got a dressing on her undercarriage, and she's such a fucking effervescent dog, but not now, mate. The ears are drooping, the eyes are sad, and she's just lying there looking gutted. But I tell you who's come into his own, fucking Bobby the cat. Bobby the cat usually, Bobby the cat is usually sort of keeps himself to himself. The dog tends to pounce on him as soon as he comes through the cat flap. So the cat just sort of comes in, tries to stay on high surfaces where the dog can't get in, goes and eats its food, and then fucks off out again, which is a real shame, right?
Yeah.
And so we were always like, poor Bobby, lovely, but the dog's just almost too much for him to take. The dog's not violent, although he does sort of attack, but it's kind of just playing. But the cat's just like, do you know what? Fuck off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now that the dog has been effectively immobilized, the cat, the cat is fucking tormenting the dog like nobody's business. Going, what's all this then? Wearing a fucking cone on your head, are you? Whoa, that don't look very comfortable. Can you hear me in there? Right.
You've been naughty. What's this punishment?
Right up to its face, right? And he's putting his claw inside the funnel. Here, I'll give you a little tap on the snout if you want. Can you feel that? And you can see
you got a lasagna in there.
Wanting to respond, but doesn't quite have the energy. Are you a bit tired? Here, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll chew on the side of your cone for you. And last night we were watching telly, and the cat was just sitting next to the dog, just chewing on the side of its cone, leaving loads of tooth marks in it. I hope you don't mind that. I find it quite relaxing. Still, you might be dead soon by the looks of you. Oh, well, never mind.
I'll have your eyeballs then.
There'll be no more staying on the upper levels anymore. I'll be fucking... The cat is roaming free and loving it and really making the most of everything. And I kind of am quite happy for it. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you little bastard.
Yeah. This reminds me a bit when my kids at their other house had a couple of gerbils. And one of the gerbils used to bully the other one relentlessly. And then it died. And the one that was the victim just completely came out of its shell after the other one died. Was living out loud. Would come to the front of the cage and get stroked, and you could get out and put it in your hand and everything. And it was just it had just been under the cosh for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, but
toxic relationship in some ways.
That's what happens. A bit like Wayne and Colleen, I suppose, maybe.
Yeah.
But Bonnie, speaking of pets, at my kid's other house, not my other house. Bonnie, of course, was hit by a car, we think, had a dislocated hip, had surgery, and she was signed off by the vet yesterday as recovered as she can be. Her hair's starting to grow back where it was all shaved off for the operation. She's got a bit of a limp still. She's got no tail, but there's hair growing on it. Got a little hairy stump where the tail used to be, and she's back on top form. So there's an update for you. Took her to the vet. She tried to hiss at and bite the vet. So she's obviously back because she's slightly feral, to be honest. She's a bit of a bastard.
Is she?
But yeah. As my ex-wife said when she got injured, typical of all the 4 cats we've got, it's the one that doesn't even like us.
4 cats they've got round there.
They got 4 cats around there, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Branbury, you know about. Branbury's been mentioned before,
cat,
and there's
yeah.
Bonnie, and there's also Herbert and Sapphire.
Wow.
So yeah, great bunch of lads and lasses.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bonnie
great
is
on a night out.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, something for everyone. Should we do some predictions?
Let's do it
very quickly. Forgot to do them last weekend because it's international weekend, but who gives a fuck? Liverpool versus Everton, the Merseyside derby.
2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. I would go for 3-0 Liverpool. You know what? I'm going to go 4-0 Liverpool.
Wow.
I think Everton are completely fucked. Nottingham Forest versus Luton. I'll go first in this one. And I think this will be 2-1 to Nottingham Forest.
I'll say 2-0 Nottingham Forest.
Aston Villa versus West Ham United.
I'm going to say Aston Villa 0, West Ham 2.
I will go for 1-1.
Great.
Stoke versus Sunderland. I will go for 1-1 again.
I'll say 1-0 Sunderland.
Thank you very much. And finally, Newcastle United versus Crystal Palace.
I think that will be 2-1 Newcastle.
2-1 to Newcastle. I think this will be 2-0 to Newcastle. There we are. That's the predictions for you there. That's pretty much it. Anything else you want to mention before we go, Sam?
No, I think we covered quite a lot. Sorry about all the wank chat at the beginning. I really mean that. If you're still listening, which probably if you didn't like it, you won't be. But if you're still listening, sorry. I don't know. But,
and, if you've gone to YouTube to actually watch us talking about this, then we can only apologise further. And we're judging you as well, very harshly. All right. Thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.